This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. I got a great guest on today. 2 times New York Times bestseller. He is founder and creator of Ecircleacademy.com, coaching corporations, people, and he's having a positive impact on people through what he does every day, and that's why he's here on the show. And so we're going to learn a lot. I'm glad he's with us. Nicky Billou, thanks for joining me, my brother.
Cliff, thanks for having me on the show, man. Honored to be here.
Fantastic. Listen, man, it said you've been on over 600 shows. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Man, well, hey, you're my kind of person, a high achiever who's driven to do things because it's fulfilling. So tell me about Ecircle Academy.
Well, great question. Before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about my backstory.
Please.
I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And my late father, God rest his soul, he and my mother could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't going to be a place to raise a Christian family. So they got together, they thought through a plan, and they executed it. And eventually they got us out of Iran, and we settled where I now live in Toronto, Canada. Now, at the time, I was a kid. I was 11. I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends. But in retrospect, it was the single greatest thing my mom and dad could have done for me and my brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny and they brought us to a legacy of freedom. And I believe inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. We all want the ability to go out there and chart our own path, to march to the tune of our own drummer. And today, in 2024, there are dark forces around the world that are looking to take away people's freedoms. And I say this to you, first and foremost, be a champion for freedom. Stand up for your own freedom. Stand up for the freedom of other people. Because if one of us isn't free, none of us are free. That's the facts. That's the truth. And my father was also a champion for freedom. He was an entrepreneur. He believed in human beings. He'd tell me from the time I was a kid, son, life isn't about money. Life is about people. He said, son, business isn't about money. Business is about people. I was a smart aleck. I said, Dad, what are you talking about? Of course, business is about money. Without money, there's no business. He said, that's true, son. But without people, there's no need to do business. Imagine a Venn diagram. In the first circle, it's people. In the second circle, it says problems. And in the third circle, it says profit. And where all three intersect is a little space that says purpose. The purpose of business is to solve acute problems for awesome people at an amazing profit. That's all it is. I learned this from my late father, and I got into business. I wanted to be a man like him. Cliff, if you'd have known my dad, you would have loved him. My dad, if he knew you and you were looking for work, would sit you down in his office, call all his entrepreneur buddies, browbeat them until one of them gave you a job. And if you were trying to start a business, he'd sit down with you. He'd help you think it through, get access to capital, even get a few clients till you got it going. And if he was a friend of yours and you were looking to buy a car or a house and the bank wouldn't give you quite enough, he'd top you up with a loan that he'd never let you pay back. And you might go to yourself, what? That's not real, man. That's like a dude from a movie story. No, man, it is real. Who does that, you might think? Well, the late, great Napoleon Billou for one. And why would he do such a thing? Well, first and foremost, he was a devout Christian. He believed he'd been blessed by God, and it was his duty to share those blessings with others. But secondly, he did it because he could. He was successful. He was an entrepreneur. That's why I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I wanted people to look at me the way they looked at my dad. I wanted to be a champion for human beings. And I tell you something, when my late father passed away, he passed the torch of believing in people to me. And this is what he was all about. He said, son, life is about people. You need to love people. You need to believe in people. Every human being needs someone to believe in them. There are moments where their belief in themselves wobbles, but if they've got someone in their corner who believes in them, they'll steady the ship. And this is my greatest superpower, Cliff. I love people. I believe in people. I pour into people. In the moments when people have lost faith in themselves, I keep my belief going until that spark of belief turns into a roaring fire and they are able to make their dreams come alive in their heart and soul and go achieve them. That is who I am. That is what I'm all about. I am my father's son, carrying forward the Billou torch.
God bless you. We are on the same page. I tell you, I'm like you. I believe more in people than they believe in themselves. And I tell you, I love your message. I'm also a devout Christian. And I'm thinking, let me know your thoughts on this. And that was just wonderfully said, by the way. And I love Toronto. I'm originally from upstate New York, Rochester. We used to take trips over there to Yonge Street back in the 80s, 70s, actually. But what's your thoughts on this, man? I just think the more I've been into the Word the last 5-6 years, I mean, we've got to bring God back to America. We got to get it plugged back in. Do you agree?
1,000%, brother. It's people turning away from God that has turned us into Sodom in North America. And if we're not careful, America will fall. The average lifespan of a democracy is about 250 years. And we are 2 years away from the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So think about that. We've got one shot at this. If you are an American today, the 2024 election is your last shot at preserving the ideals of America, at preserving freedom. Because if the 2024 election sees the forces of darkness, the forces of illegitimacy, the ones who stole the last election, the ones who deny God every single day, the ones who take his believers and jail them and imprison them for the crime of worshiping God, if they are allowed to continue, it's all over in America. And if America is where freedom falls, freedom will fall all across the globe, and we will enter 1,000 years of darkness.
You are going to, I think you today, for me, even just alone, you're going to, I think, hone my mission based on what you're saying today. I really believe that. You know, I was never, when did you come to Toronto? When did you come from Iran?
1982.
1982. Okay. Yeah. I really wasn't, I guess when you're born here, right, you can become apathetic. You think this is the way it is. And if you haven't, my audience knows, Chris, my wife was born in Cuba, and her lovely father, who never went a day without wearing the American flag on some part of his body. And he gave up everything, signed it all over to come to this great country. And so she awakened in me, and so did he. Man, I should be doing more to be more patriotic. That kind of slapped me in the face of being aware of how thankful we should be, because, of course, he saw the opportunities and gave up everything for his family, as I see you have. And so I see more second generation people are saying, no, we've got to fight for this. Do you realize I've had these opportunities and we're not going to let that go, right?
My brother, without freedom in America, the whole history of humanity is going to take a sharp turn for the worse. In the Bible, in the book of Revelations, they talk about end times, and I often wonder, are we in end times?
Yes. Yeah, there's a pastor that I follow, Jack Hibbs. You probably know Jack Hibbs. Jack Hibbs, he recently went to, he gave the prayer in Congress. Mike Johnson hired him to do that. And he was attacked because he said, he opened the prayer with "Our Father in heaven," of course, and attributing a gender to God. He was attacked by that. And so he's been attacked after that message, but he's a big time. He just says that how alive the Bible is today about what is happening, the prophecy that is happening, and how that word is relating to right now. And I think you're probably on the same page with that.
Amen, Brother Cliff. Amen.
Yeah. So I forgot where I was gonna go with that, but boy, you're not the only person who's kind of told me. I want to say over 30, 40 times that I've talked to people. It's been, this election is an either or kind of thing, and I was surprised. Go ahead, Nicky.
This is it.
Yeah.
Either you vote out the devil and the forces of the devil.
Correct. Yeah.
Or you're going to see freedom in America disappear. And Ronald Reagan once said, that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for. It must be nurtured. It's not passed to our children down in the bloodstream. And I would say to you that right now, freedom is months away from extinction.
Yeah.
Months.
Man, because I just wonder, I grew up, and maybe you were at, well, you're 82. So when I was growing up, 70s, born in 57. So we didn't talk about politics. You got the news at 6 o'clock at night. There was only 3 channels. And, I was brought up in a principled home. My dad was a Marine. And so we had right and wrong and kind of, great family, Judeo-Christian principles for sure, even though I wasn't brought up in the church. But we really didn't talk about politics, for the longest time. And then my wife and I, we kind of put ourselves out there because we're positive people. And all we were doing was we went to the inauguration in 2016, and of course we showed pictures of ourselves in Washington at the inauguration celebrating. And so we have a summer place in upstate New York. You're going to know the Thousand Islands. Lake Ontario dumps into it. Sure. And so we had an island community, and then all of a sudden, people were ghosting us. We weren't invited over anymore. People that we had helped and we were good friends with. And I talked to some people and I go, geez, I hope it's not any political thing because we don't even talk about it when we get together. And somebody told me, oh, no, it is. I just can't believe that, people were doing, yeah, I know. I still, it was just, let me tell you, it was, to me, it was a little bit hurtful. I don't know, because just, I didn't judge people that way, but they judged us that way, and it was just kind of crazy. Did you experience any of that on your, because you stand?
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the truth, man. We're in a cold civil war right now.
Right. Well, I agree.
And you're either on the side of the angels or you're on the side of the devils. There's no standing on the sidelines. And the people that don't believe in freedom, in good, in might and right, many of them are ready to throw you under the bus. And I can be friends with someone who disagrees with me. But
me too.
I'm not gonna be friends with somebody who is an out and out leftist out to destroy freedom. I'm not going to be friends with the cancel culture types. And it's my belief that it's my duty right now to stand up for what's right.
That's what I think. Duty, yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
And how do this is my question. You're going to help me today. Because and I love what you're saying, man. I didn't even anticipate this, Nicky. Because my whole thing is, personal growth. I've been into motivation and entrepreneurship, even though, I was a cop and I got introduced to these, I got a real estate license and I got introduced to Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. And then I began to do things, and I dropped my, limitations and just became a champion for, unlimited belief. And of course, in this country, we can do that. But more and more, I'm just thinking, God, I just think more and more my duty is to stand up for the fight that we have that's going on with the good versus evil. And so how do you stay on the personal growth path at the same time taking up the sword of righteousness of what we need to defend?
Well, brother, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing your show, but talk about these topics as well.
Okay.
There's a big podcaster named Patrick Bet-David. He has a channel called
PBD. No, I never miss it. We never miss it every day, the live show. Yeah.
3 years. That's what he's done the last 2 or 3 years. He still puts out a lot of content to help people be successful. He still does programs. He's got a conference he does once a year. I'm going to attend this conference this year.
Oh, are you? Great. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be great. But, at the same time, he also is putting out content that is all about supporting the message of freedom.
Yeah.
And he's not going to stop. He's building himself a whole media empire around that. I think you can do something similar. You got the Cliff Yates show. You could have small shorts that you do on success and positivity and winning. And then you could have conversations that you have with people around the subject of freedom. You could be doing all kinds of things. There's no reason. The two messages go hand in hand.
You're right. Yeah.
And the message of hope, optimism, entrepreneurship, success, making money, they go hand in hand. It's the message of darkness that goes with the message of victimhood and defeatism.
Boy, you're so right. Well, I'm glad you watch PBD, man. We watch it. My wife and I watch them every day. I mean, with the amount of the type of guests that he has on. He has that great mix. Vinny, who was, I was a comedian for over 25 years, cop by day, comedian by night. So Vinny on his staff, he was a comedian, and he moved from California like we did in 2020. And he's got Adam on there, but also Tom that he has on, who's the financial guy. And I just learning markets and what's going on. I mean, he provides such a service. Sometimes my buddy will send me shorts on the show. I go, listen, brother, I listen to the whole 2-hour show, so I don't need your short because I listen to the whole thing. He's just amazing. And it seems like you're on the same message too, brother. And I'm so happy to really join with people who to have this voice and who come with, and like you do. I just, because the Bible says, I forgot what be joyous, right? Be joyous. And you repeat it in the one thing. I'm going to rejoice, rejoice always. And that's why I rejoice every day. And at the same time, like you said, we can fight these evils. And I love your message, man. And are you coaching? I know you got a free book too, right? I downloaded it. I haven't started it yet.
Thank you for all the kind things you've said. What I do, brother, is I'm really a champion for people that are in business, especially people that make a living using their expertise. So a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants. I've worked with people in real estate, mortgage brokers, insurance people. These are folks who they use their energy and their expertise to add value and make an income. And what I've found, and this is one of the things that, my father helped instill in me, is there's a lot of good people out there in business that are struggling for a variety of reasons. Reason number one is they just don't understand business. They don't know business.
Yes.
So I learned business. My dad was a businessman. I went to school and university. Got my undergraduate degree, was a Bachelor of Commerce in Canada. That's the name. That's like a, Bachelor of Business Administration in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then I came to the U.S. to do my master's degree at an American university called Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And I studied international business.
Wow.
And trade and politics, because that was my thing. So I've got a background both from family and education and business. But a lot of people I run into are coaches, consultants, they got shows, they got lots of energy. They don't know jack about business, man. They just know jack.
I know, right? Yeah.
And because of that, they got fear around selling, around marketing. Sales is a scary thing for a lot of people in business that are not business, born like I was. They think it's, oh my God, it's, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be seen as a pushy salesman. I don't want to reek of commission breath. And here's the problem. It's understandable, but it's also wrong at every level, because without sales, you don't have a business. I want to say this again. Without sales, you don't have a business. And you must sell. Selling is like breathing. To say I'm against sales is like being a human being and saying I'm against breathing. I don't want to breathe anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's freaking nuts. It's absolutely insane. You can't be against breathing. Sales is lifeblood, oxygen for a business. So that's number one. Number two is this whole notion of being pushy. There are people out there that have given sales a bad name, but sales, if you're a good human being, is actually an act of love. It's an act of service. It's an act of love. I only sell to people that I like and love. If I don't like you, let's say Cliff, you and I talk today, and I find out, you've got your own like Cliff Yates Inc. and you want to grow to a multi-million-dollar brand or whatever. And let's say you said to me, hey, Nicky, I want to talk to you. I'm interested in growing, blah, blah, blah. Well, right off the bat, I like you. I mean, I like who you are. I like your energy. You're a Christian. You're a freedom lover. All that's. So I'm like immediately going, yeah, I want to help a guy like him. Sure, absolutely. Now, Cliff, if you were some, blue-haired, woke tard, Christian hater, Cliff, and you told me this was going to be an hour freaking podcast. By 15 minutes, I go, as my wrap-up story, I'm telling you this, and I'd say, it's been great, but I only booked us till 11:20. I got to go. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you, brother, yeah.
So if you look at sales as service, Cliff, you don't want to be
I do.
sold.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sold. But don't you love it when someone serves you? When someone gives a crap? When
Yes.
someone says, yeah, like I've got a mechanic. I saw him last week. I bought my son a car. He had a flat. The buddy fixed it for me. Man, I'm so glad he took care of it. Boom, done. Bada bing, bada boom. I paid what he asked. Done. And that's how it needs to be, Cliff. It's how it needs to be. If it's any other way, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying? It's not
Absolutely.
so. But when you come at it from it's a point of love. It's an act of love.
Yeah.
That'll double, triple, quadruple yourself. So I had this woman. She was a client of mine. She was a naturopathic doctor, functional medicine, successful. She made 6 figures, but she was daddy's girl, and daddy had brain cancer, glioblastoma, and he died a short while later. And she wanted to honor his memory by becoming a successful entrepreneur, because that's what he was. So she comes to me and she said, "Look, I want to honor his memory, but I'm nervous. I don't, I'm a doctor. I don't want to sell. I don't want to call people. I mean, sales, it's a dirty word, blah, blah, blah." And I just said to her, "The people that you help, do they really need your help?" She goes, "Oh, absolutely." She started telling me 2, 3 stories. And I sat there and I listened, and I said, if they had gone to see someone else, would they have gotten their problem solved? She says, "Oh, probably not." And I said, "Then the reason you're going to make your phone calls is because you don't want good people to suffer." And when she took that frame of mind on, Cliff, she doubled her business just from I'm serving people. I'm serving people. I don't want some charlatan to come and get their business and not deliver. I've got to get there first, so I serve them.
Yeah, she got to her why, and then she wasn't worrying about the how yet. She went to her why first. That's great.
Now, the other part, and this is thought leadership, which is another
Right.
area of expertise for me, is she came to us and I asked her, "So who do you help?" First, she says, "I can help anybody with any health problem." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not going to go over so well." So
No.
I said, "We're going to try an exercise." And I've done this with hundreds of people, but she's a very good example of it. We're going to draw another Venn diagram. And this is of your clients that you've worked with. I want you to make a circle called the clients you've gotten great results for. So put all the people in that circle. Then the clients that you've enjoyed working with, put all the people in that circle. And then the clients that you have had an easy time transacting with. So they paid you on time, in full, no fuss, no muss.
Right. Yeah.
So when she figured all that out, where all 3 intersected were professional married women over the age of 45, successful marriages, successful careers or businesses, mothers, right? Family, relationship, business worked great, Cliff.
Specific on who she was serving. Specifically, who am I serving? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where all 3 intersected, right?
Right.
But you know what wasn't working for them? What their pain was?
Pain point.
They all felt fat and ugly.
Ah.
They all felt like beauty had passed them by. Youth had passed them by.
Yeah.
They were never going to be young and beautiful and desirable and sexy again. Now, Cliff, you and I are men, but do you think maybe women over the age of 40 might care about feeling feminine, fresh, beautiful, sexy, young, attractive? Do you think it's possible that they might have some desire around that issue?
Yes, I do. And I know women who are in their 80s.
Right, good answer.
Sophia Loren, beautiful now. I think she's 90.
Yeah. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
What we came up with her was some messaging around, look, getting older is inevitable. The number is going to advance, but aging is optional. And we created a program for her that we helped her call Get Your Sexy Back.
Love it. Boom.
Over 3 years, she went from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month, brother.
I
Boom.
bet she wasn't upset about that.
No, because she got herself in a powerful,
Yeah.
powerful positioning. She got clear on who she could help and how and why.
Yeah.
She also got clear that it was her duty to reach out to people because otherwise they weren't going to get helped, and she didn't want to see people suffer. And then
Yeah.
finally, and I'm using one story to make several points.
Oh,
We
no
helped her
good.
see she was undercharging, and
Yeah.
so she raised her fees, and then she stopped just doing, fee for service, and she started to put programs together. So all this confluence took her from a good business to a great business. And if you think about it, that's what people really, really need, Cliff. They need someone who's going to take them from a good situation to a great situation, or from a not good situation to a good situation. That is where it's at.
And that's what you do at Ecircle Academy. I think that's your messaging. I saw it on your website. It really is good, and it's so easy for people to book a call with you. They just click a button, and they're going to get a free assessment or free maybe discovery call to see if you guys are a good fit, right?
100%, 100%. They'll get massive value from the call, and it's a beautiful thing,
I
And
agree. Yeah.
here's another thing that I've discovered in 2023, 24. There's a lot of people out there that are teaching people methods of getting clients that no longer work. Okay. So they are teaching methods that you worked back in the day, but they don't work any longer. So they're teaching them things like blogging, launches,
Yeah.
paid ads and traffic. Now, I'm not saying that these methods will have zero impact, but they're just not what they once were, and they're not going to get the ROI that they once
Right.
did.
Yeah.
So I was like looking and going, okay, well, I want to figure it out for myself. What is going to help me get people today? And you and I met through Podmatch,
Right.
and I figured out that there's a really great way to do this, and that's by being a guest on other people's podcasts.
Right.
And what I teach about this, I call it get booked and get paid. Nobody else teaches it.
Yeah.
Other people come on podcasts, and normally they're being taught, hey, get exposure, get visibility. And I'm not saying those are bad things, but they're not a return on your investment.
Right.
If you come on a show and all you're doing is going, I just want to have a great conversation, and someone will see me and hopefully they'll reach out to me, that is a very passive way of looking for business.
Right.
And here's what I realized. Most organizations that teach people about podcast guesting don't teach them how to get paid.
Right.
Do not teach them how to get paid. So I spent 100 shows as a guest before I figured out, it all clicked, how to get paid. And can I tell you the 3-step formula? Really
Please.
Simply?
Of course.
Step number 1, you got to have an intention to go on a show to do business. When I go on a show, I have a 3-part intention, Cliff. So number 1 is, I intend to inspire your audience. Like you and I spoke, there's a lot of people over the last 4 years, they're not feeling great about how the world has gone, and they need inspiring voices to lift them up.
Yes.
I am one of those inspiring voices. God has seen fit to endow me with energy, with enthusiasm, with exceptional communication skills, both written and spoken. So when I come on a show, I'm here to make people go, I'm awake. Nicky Billou's in the house. I'm awake, right? Secondly, my second part of my intention is, Cliff, I want to make you as the host feel good about bringing me on the show. I want you to think to yourself and tell yourself, man, that's the best dang guest I ever had. I'm so glad I brought him on. My audience is going to love him. He makes me look good. This is why I got into podcasting, to have these kinds of guests on my shows. That's important because for me, you are spending time, energy, and money to put a show on together. You're taking a risk. If I come on here and I blow it, that's bad for you, bad for your brand. And even if you don't put the show on, even if you get rid of it, you wasted an hour of your time plus all the money and whatnot that
Right.
you spend
Yeah.
putting it together. So I've got to deliver for you. So that's my intention, and I intend to do that. My third intention is, Cliff, I'm an old school man. I'm a Gen Xer. I was born in 1967. I do business in a very particular way. I do business with people I know, I like, and I trust.
Yep.
Know,
Like,
trust.
trust. Yep.
Cliff, being a guest on a man or woman's show is a great way for them to get to know me, like me, and trust me, and vice versa.
Right.
You're a businessman. I'm a businessman. I've been on 600 shows. I have built relationships with 600 individuals. About 400 of them were business people. Not all have been business people. But that's 400 people that my network grew by in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
400. I've done business with about 15, 20 of them. $360,000 in revenue has been generated by my company because of me doing business with people that I've met in this fashion. Cliff, you ever heard anybody talk about podcast guesting the way Nicky Billou just talked about it to you today?
No.
I rest my case. I am the world's leading expert on podcast guesting and monetizing podcast guesting in a way that is good for you and good for the show host and good for anybody you happen to meet through the audience that way. And it is working today. Why, Cliff? No one else is teaching this or doing this. In a year, this will be saturated. In 2 years, it'll be saturated, but today it isn't.
Right.
People want to learn how to get booked and get paid. I got a 2-day workshop where I teach them how to do just that.
Great. And they can, if they go to your website, they can book that call, right? Just one click.
Absolutely. 100%.
Ecircleacademy.com. Nicky Billou. You're providing a service, brother, that I agree with, and I herald. And to your point on sales, I came to this accidentally, and I'm just going to support what you said. You know, I was a cop doing stand-up comedy, and I had people, my people, obviously, who I was serving with my comedy, getting babysitters, taking time off, and they said, we want to see you. And they were coming to a club, and they were paying somebody else to see me, and they were waiting for 2 hours to see me do my 3 minutes. I go to a seminar where they said, well, why don't you rent your own theater, have your people pay you to see you, and then when they come, I can control the product. Because you know what I was saying, Nicky, was my audience is not getting served right. I can't have people keep coming to see me and they're not getting serviced right. I don't want them to wait 2 hours through idiots to see me for 1 minute. So now I rented my own theater. They paid me to see me, and I hired a headliner because I wanted somebody that could put an hour show on. I only had 20, 25 minutes, perfect for an opener. And that's how I started doing show business. But it was about serving those people. And so I didn't even call it sales, but I was taking care of who I was serving. And so that went to your point.
There you go, bro. There you go. That's where it's at. And you mind if I share kind of one last story with you?
Not at all. Please do. And I appreciate your time and the value that you're bringing to my show. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So about 6 years ago, I was introduced to a woman who was the country director for Canada for one of the world's largest and oldest personal development firms. And she was a rock star. She had built Canada up, but she had at somewhere along the way decided that she needed to bring someone on to help her grow things. So she brought a man on who'd done the program that she put on, and this guy was a businessman, and he had a bit of a shady reputation, but he said that he was a change man and all that jazz. And unfortunately, not necessarily correct that he was fully changed. And the two of them started to clash after about a year. And there's a board of directors involved, and things came to a head, and the board of directors sided with him and kicked her out. You think about that, right? That's what the board of directors did. Sided with him and kicked her out of the company. So you might go to yourself, how the heck do you get kicked out of a company that you helped start? Well, board of directors can do that. Remember Steve Jobs and Apple?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So just like Steve Jobs, she was lost and bereft for about 18 months. And then someone said, you need to meet Nicky Billou and his lady, and they're going to help you. And so, anyways, we got connected, and she started to open up to us. We saw this was a good human being. We loved on her. We poured into her. We gave her our hearts and souls. We helped her come up with a an ideal client, a message. We helped her think about serving rather than selling. And within, honestly, her first 30 days, she started to make money. She made about 10 grand. In her second month, she made 12 grand. In her third month, she made 18 grand. In her fourth month, she blew the lid off and she made $62,200. That figure will become germane in a moment. Now, she lives in Ottawa. I live in Toronto. That's a 5-hour drive. And my oldest son was 12 at the time, 18 now. He plays soccer. He had a tournament in Ottawa. So we drove up, and I called her up and I said, hey, listen, we're coming to Ottawa for my son's tourney. Would you and your son, who's my son's age, like to come and watch? And she said, sure. And so they did. And we had some lunch, and then we drove back to Toronto, and she and her son went back home. A few weeks later, we had one of our quarterly branded thought leader immersion workshops. This is a 3-day deep dive, decades into days situation, which we make available to people. And as a result of that, people really take their businesses to a whole new level. Their self-belief goes to a whole new level. And so, candidly, we have a section where we do a proverbial upsell, an enrollment into what's next, right? And the way I do it is I usually don't do the enrollment myself. I mean, I do it, but I ask other people to talk about us. And I just say, who'd like to share their experience? And people put up their hand and I pick on them. So I said, who'd like to share their experience? She didn't pick up her hand. She bolted out of her chair, jumped on stage, and practically knocked me on my ass. And I'm like, okay, I guess you really want to go for it. And so she goes, yep. And like brimming with energy. And then all of a sudden her energy changes and I see her shoulders go like this. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? And I hear her sobbing. And like any man hearing a woman sob, I first went to, what did I do frickin' wrong? Well, my lady comes up, box of tissues, hands her a tissue. She gratefully accepts, and she blows her nose loudly. And then the room was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. And she said, Nicky, you didn't know this, but when you and your little son came to visit me and my little son in Ottawa, my little son said, Mommy, who are we going to go meet? And I said, oh, sweetie, we're going to meet Nicky Billou and his son. And she said, all of a sudden, my boy got very quiet and said, oh, Mommy, are we going to meet the man who saved our family? And I'm like, what? Now, I'm an old school Iranian masculine man. I don't cry in public. And on that day, all that went out the window. I started to bawl like a little girl. And the two of us hugged, and everyone went like, oh. And she said, you didn't know this, but when I came to see you all those months ago, the bank was about to foreclose on our home. We hadn't paid our mortgage in months. My husband and I were fighting in front of our children every day like cats and dogs. And they were freaking out because they thought we were going to break up. And we were going to lose our family, and I thought so too. But we turned the business around. We paid off our mortgage. We stopped fighting about money. And now our family's stronger than ever. You literally saved our family. And anyways, we hugged. Everyone clapped. She got down. Normally I call 2-3 people, and that was the only person I called that day. And
Wow.
we handed out a registration form to all the people in the room who were prospects for this. And it's a $40,000 upsell, okay?
Right.
It's not a small amount of money. So normally there's some people who are like, yeah, okay, I want to do it. There's some people who are like, no, thanks. And there's some people who are like, I don't know, I too, whatever. And then we sit down and we talk to them and we figure it out. This is one of only, I think, 2 times where, and the first time everybody said yes, but this was a larger contingent. There were like 8 people in this. The other time that everybody said yes, there was like 2 or 3 people in the room, right? So they all of them saying yes. Actually, one of 3 times now. Not one shit, because there was
Wow.
another time
That's
6 people
awesome.
said, but brother, they all said yes to a $40,000 sale.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah.
It was not because I was a brilliant salesman.
Right.
The brilliant salesman was that little boy who wasn't even in the room.
That's right.
And
yeah.
when
God.
that happened, here's what became clear to me. And this is what I want to leave your audience and you with. It is not about me. My business is not about me. I am here following God's plan. And God wants me to serve people that are hurting, like this woman and her family were. That is it. And if you're listening to this and that's you and you're hurting and your family's hurting and you need to turn it around, all I'm going to say to you is jump on the call with the link that I've given you. Go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment and let's meet up and let's have a real honest conversation about where you're at and why it's important for you to get out of there. And let's create a roadmap to get you out of there. This is free. You don't need to sign up for a program or anything like that. And I'm not a hard sell. Believe me, I'm not somebody who gets you on the phone. That's it. Not going to let them go to the bag. That's not how I roll. But what I am looking for is I'm looking for the next person like this woman, and I'm going to call her Julie. She doesn't want her real name used, but who's my next Julie?
Yeah. I love it. Nicky, this is awesome. Thank you. And I think we can end on this. I mean, I want people, I almost want to end right now so I can get people to go to your website, click and get the call going, because I just would encourage people to listen to that message, because it happened to me. I invested a lot of money into a program, and at the time people maybe had some discouraging words. And then now I look back, that amount of investment I probably made more than 50 times over. I've made back in additional revenue to my life. And so you're investing in yourself. Nicky Billou, any final thoughts? Except for that, I don't know what else there is. I'm going to put all the links to your Ecircle Academy. I'm just going to put that one in the description of the YouTube channel. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on a podcast platform, it's going to be in the show notes. And it's easy to remember, ecircleacademy.com. Nicky, thank you, man.
Yeah, you bet. And, on the note that you said, there are 4 qualities a human being has to have in order to get to work with me.
Okay.
Quality number 1 is they need to be decisive and committed. You cannot be a dabbler or a tire kicker.
Right. Yes.
You've got to be like, I'm ready to change, and I'm committed. I'm willing to be bad before I'm average, before I'm good, before I'm great. That's the bottom line. And quality number 2 is you've got to be someone who believes in investing in yourself, and you've got to be coachable. You are the most important asset in your life, in your business. If you don't invest in you, who the hell else will? Think about that. That's super, super important, right? And you got to hire coaches. You got to join masterminds and peer groups. You got to attend conferences. You know, like I was talking about, attending PBD's conference, et cetera. That's all. You got to do all that. And then finally, you got to be resourceful. You need to come up with the time, the energy, and the money.
Yes.
And make your dreams come alive. They're not going to come alive on their own.
No.
And if you have those qualities, you get to work with me. If you don't have those qualities, you don't, because I don't have the ability to help somebody who's not ready to help themselves. And I'm 56. I learned this. I don't try to beat a dead horse. I don't drag people across the finish line. You either want to run or you don't. And if you don't, no hard feelings.
Absolutely. Nicky Billou, you are a fantastic guest. You have clicked all 3 intentions that you wanted to do. You were intentional, and you fed my audience. You pleased the host and fulfilled what I would like to have happen for me. And so you've done it all, man. And I appreciate your time. Man, I'm going to point everybody that listens or sees this to the ecircleacademy.com. Hey, hang around a little bit after the show for a little debriefing. and so we can high five personally. Thanks again, Nicky.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. You know I love you. I'll see you on the next episode.